Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to glue in this bottom part before we glue in the back. And it's simply a little easier to get in here this way. Now, if you want to do just this step and leave it and don't do anything else, that's just fine. If you don't want to do this step at all, that's fine. But it's a little easier to get in here and do this step before gluing this one on. Plus, it gives you a little bit more space to glue some other bits on if you need to. So I'm going to glue on, putting on the glue for this. And again, it's about the same amount of glue. I mean, well, kind of double, but you catch my drift. I keep saying that a lot. Catch my drift. It's something we said a lot, I guess, in the 70s. Okay. Now, this will begin to bow just a tiny bit. This piece of foam may begin to bow a little bit. Now, unlike the chair where I glued the back piece on where this was a little bigger, it's much harder to do it with the little love seats. So I trimmed off a tiny bit from the bottom, about 2.5 millimeters. Now we're going to glue this down and then we're going to add some clamps to it. Okay, so I've got the bottom glued in, and now I'm actually going to add, you can see it start to bow here just a little bit. I'm going to add some glue along here. And now, because I know I'm going to be gluing down to this spot right here where the light wood is, I can go ahead and add in the wood, or not the wood, the glue onto the back. Okay, now I still am going to move some of this glue around, meaning I'm going to smear it around a bit, make sure it's a good coating of it. Now, I want to make sure that I get all the way down to that end. Part of the reason I do this is because sometimes when you glue things down, you'll be able to see the tracks of where the glue has adhered, especially if you're using a porous thing like paper or fabric, and that has always bugged me. I don't care about panty lines, but that just bothers me. So now I've got the glue kind of moved around there, and I know that it's not going to show through, but you know, again, this is the way I do things. And your pieces are much larger and fit over these back portions, unlike mine. So I'm going to move it into position, and then I'm going to grab 2 of my little paper clips. Not paper clips. Oop. My little clothespins. But you can see it begin to bow and pull away here. Now, because of that, I'm employing some of my larger clip clamps to keep it in place. If you don't have the clamps, you may just want to sit for a minute or two. I'll show you this. And just hold everything down. So if you don't have clamps or a little clothespin, you may just want to hold it down until the glue adheres. Glue actually cures. It's a chemical thing that takes place. And this is a PVA glue, so polyvinyl acetate. You may want to just hold things down, or if you have a heavy object, sometimes I will use jars that I have things in, are very helpful. But it all depends on what you want to do. And I stress that, and that's probably one of the reasons why my tutorials are not incredibly popular, because as an art teacher, I stress to my students that their art is their own piece of art. I am the teacher. I am there to, yes, do some grading and some evaluations, etc., but offer them up an experience in which they can they can have a hands-on, tactile, as immersive as I can get for them experience with the tools, the media, etc. And I don't want them to copy me. I stress to my students that they need to use what I've offered them as a jumping off point. And sometimes there were students and they just weren't in the mood, and they just needed to just sit down and make something, and they would make it look like mine. However, those students who were in the frame of mind where they wanted to do that or needed to do that, because art is an expression of who you are as a human being, those students got that time to do that. And there are lots of students and lots of people who need that sort of thing. And for my tutorials as well, I know that sometimes adults just want to sit down and make something that looks exactly like the thing that the artist or the craftsperson has created. I don't want you to feel like you have to do things exactly the way that I do them. I want you to express yourself and have fun with it. Otherwise, what's the point? At least in my eyes. I want you to have a good time doing these things. So, that all being said, I've pressed everything down. I went ahead and added my clamps back in. And in lieu of these kinds of clamps, you can just use big clothespins. I'm going to set this aside, and I can start thinking about putting in the blue structures on the bottom, meaning these little bits that I want to add in here. And I need to kind of figure out how long do I need to make this so this will work. So it's going to be fun. And that's what we'll be doing in the next part of the video or the tutorial. Okay, see you in a little bit.